ready to start. It's 8:34. We'll start with the City of East Chicago. We have with us today Latonya Hicks, who's in multimedia and public relations consultant with the city, and we have Chief Becker with the East Chicago Police Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's start with Chief Becker. First of all, a lot of things always going on in the City of East Chicago. I know you want to update the listening audience, not only good citizens of East Chicago, but we're all one region here.
We are. You're right. There are always a lot of things happening in East Chicago. Some are good and some are bad, but today's a day we get to bring some good news to your listeners and to the people who visit, reside, or come through our city. So we recently released our crime stats for the year. By that I mean the statistics that we report to the FBI's Unified Uniform Crime Reports every year, and we're very pleased with the results. We're down 6% in our total reported crime from last year.
Down 6% in total crime. That is that's great news. I think that's great news for everyone. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chief. You were newly brought in when the tactical unit went into the south side of East Chicago and took on the gang units there?
Well, I've been in East Chicago for the last 2 years. So since I've been here, we've initiated what we call the STOP program. We started the East Chicago STOP program in April, and it served as a precursor, if you will, to the Region STOP team, which kind of kicked in September. And those are two, I think, very unique initiatives that we brought to the table. And I think they proved very beneficial in terms of East Chicago and the region itself.
And where would you fall? There's been some individuals who have pled guilty, and there's some individuals that I think currently are in front of the court. That was under your watch?
You're speaking of the IG trials
Yes.
that are going on now? That actually had started before I came here. That was a result of a partnership between the East Chicago Police Department, the FBI, and the ATF. It is a partnership that we are continuing, and that has proved a great benefit as well. Dozens of murders have been solved, and many people facing life in prison as a result of it.
I think that's important to note for those other individuals who are still trying to do that type of behavior, that individuals are going to jail for 25 plus years and some 25 to life.
Well, in the federal system, you're looking at 80% of that. It's not in comparison to the state system, which is basically 50%, do a day, get a day off. Federally, you're going to do a good amount of that time. And we're very pleased with the results, and we're certainly going to continue that relationship and partnerships with our federal associates.
And what do we feel are some of the things that led to the decrease in crime by 6%?
Well, I don't know if I can put my finger exactly on one thing and say this is what happened. I will tell you the impetus for it was I came here in February 2012. Shortly thereafter, the media reported the 2011 FBI crime stats, and it showed a unusually high level of crime, both property and violent crime. And we were labeled as one of the most dangerous cities in the region, at least based on a per capita basis. So I took that as a personal challenge, as did the men and women of the police department. We decided we had to come up with a different way of policing, and that's exactly what we did. We've engaged the community. We spent I don't know how many days walking neighborhoods, knocking on doors, trying to build trust with the community and in turn hopefully get their information back to us. We've partnered, again, with outside agencies through the STOP Team program, brought additional police officers in the street.
Can you tell people what that is? Because I know some listening audience, it's something new. Explain to the listening audience what the STOP Team means.
Well, the STOP Team is not a gang unit. It's not a drug unit. It's just a unit that is designed to stop whatever the issue of the day might be. We do it collectively. We have the Region STOP Team has full-time membership with the Hammond Police Department, Gary Police Department, of course, East Chicago, and then the Lake County Sheriff. Excuse me. And then we have part-time membership with 9 surrounding communities as well, everywhere from Dyer to St. John to IUN to Whiting, so forth. And they join with us. So at any given time, we could put 10 to 16 officers on the street in roaming between Hammond and so forth that we otherwise wouldn't have. And the beauty of it is it's a sustained effort. We're always there. They don't know when we're going to be there. We change up our hours of the day, days of the week, but it's sustained. And that has made a difference, I think, in the region. And we respond to whatever the problems are. If Hammond has a problem with burglaries and they want us to put extra effort into the Hessville section or whatever it is, or Gary's got a certain Glen Park issue, or we have a problem in Marktown, or the county has something, that's what we do.
So I know that there's been the stop team basically also is driving up and down and looking for things that would look to be illegal behavior. Suspicious
Activity is probably been the most beneficial component of the team. Those things that tell a veteran officer, that doesn't look right, let's go up and take a look at that. And that's the beauty of the team, because this team they're not dispatched to situations. They don't have to worry about getting back in the car and waiting for the next call. They're free to do what they need to do. And I think we're really running at about, out of all the arrests they had made this last year, I think roughly over 25% of those suspicious activities that they walked up on resulted in an arrest. So that's pretty good. And it speaks to the makeup of the team. The department sent us quality officers, seasoned officers, officers who knew that needed to be looked at, and they get out of their car and walk up on it.
What do you think that does to overall Lake County morale when you have officers from 9 or 10, 12 different communities working together?
Well, I was just at an event yesterday, and I was speaking to some chiefs, and Mr. Carter from Lake County was there, Dave Caff from the U.S. Attorney's Office, so forth were there, and we were talking about the Region Stop Team. And as I said, it's very unique in that you get all these departments together working towards a common good. It's well supported. I know that chiefs have told me they have officers on their department that want to become a part of the stop team. They've asked to be placed on the stop team. So I think, first of all, for the officers, it's a great morale boost because it's something different and creative for them to take part in. But as a community, it's a solidarity type of statement that, we recognize that your problem, if it's not our problem already, it could be. I guess that's my background of 32 years with the FBI. I don't define crime issues by city limits or city boundaries. I just defined an issue, and I never looked at, was this just this city or this city? I looked at the issue, and that's what the stop team does. We really don't care where the city boundaries are.
Chief, on that same subject, and it comes into play on a little bit different subject in this morning's Times about communities working together with snow plowing, and there's been some of the critics of the stop team basically stating they're sending their resources to areas that are not in their city limits. Mm-hmm. What would you say to an individual who feels that if they're from Cherville, in fact, there was I believe an op-ed in the Times from a Cherville resident stating that he didn't believe that their resources should be used in someone else's backyard? Well,
I think it's the notoriety of our team that brings this to the forefront, but police in this community, in this area, have been doing this for decades. We've had federal task forces where Maryville, Cherville, East Chicago will place an officer on a federal task force, and our officer will be working with the feds in Chicago, or they may be on a surveillance down to Bloomington, Indiana, or they might go someplace into New York City. I mean, we've been doing this forever. We've long recognized the need to come together as a team rather than be individualized. So to them, I just say this has been going on for a long time, and it's been very effective to understand that not one of us can achieve more than all of us combined is very important.
I think previously it was what the high-intensity drug traffic, what they used to call HIDA or something?
HIDA. Yeah.
And that's no longer, or is that still working?
Oh, no, the HIDA is still in existence. They're located in Crown Point. It's a federally funded task force that helps the various initiatives. The ATF's a part of it, DEA, the sheriff, so forth. The FBI Grit Task Force, which was the task force I had been associated with back from 97 to 2008. They receive some funding from that initiative, and they're still ongoing. And they play a very vital role in the community as well.
You're listening to WJOB 1230 AM. I'm Dave Kuziak, filling in for Jed in the region. Jed will be back on Monday. We have with us, we're in the middle of the City of Chicago program. We have with us Police Chief Becker, and he wants to get across to the listening audience what's going on in the streets. So, Chief, I'll continue to let you roll with some of the agenda items that you have in front of you.
Well, some of the other things that we have undergoing, and again, this has proved a benefit to the region, is the willingness of Indiana University Northwest Campus in Gary, Dr. Joseph Ferrandino and his staff, made up primarily of graduate students, have brought a great resource to many communities out here in that they are constantly helping us with crime mapping, that is identifying problem areas in our city. not only what is going on now, but trying to be proactive as to what may happen next week or next month or whatever. So we're trying to be very predictive and proactive in our policing, and hats off to IUN for recognizing the need for that in the community. I mean, that literally would be far too of an expensive of an endeavor for a city such as ours to undertake. So we've engaged that. We use Dr. Ferrandino's data not only for the police department itself, but for the stop team to give us some focus, as a map, if you will, as to where we need to go. This last year, the city did install the shot spotter system in East Chicago, which I guess at the base it proves or provides pretty quick notifications to when gunshots are being fired, and pretty much within 25 meters as to where those gunshots are being fired.
Explain that to the listening audience. I've had a friend who's in law enforcement explain that to me. But to the average person, you said it's called Shot Spotter?
It's called Shot Spotter. They're based out of California. So if someone were to walk out into a resident's front yard, backyard, side yard, what have you, and fire off one or several gunshots, within 5 seconds that is reported to their command center or their home base in California. Within 60 seconds, that report of gunfire is reported back to our dispatch center, as well as to the mobile data terminals in the police officer's vehicle. A red dot shows up. If it was in the front yard, it's in the front yard. It's east, west. It's within 25 meters of that red dot, notifying us that gunfire has taken place. It also allows us to determine if it's a single shot or multiple gunshots being fired, and that, of course, is an officer safety issue. But that is really just the bare bones upfront aspect of it, if you will. I mean, it's nice to know there's been a gunshot fired, and it's nice to know we can know it within 60 seconds. But the additional benefit of having it is that we can now go out and try and locate the shell casings from that weapon. We can take the shell casings and put it into what's known as the IBIS system that ATF runs, and try and link that shell casing with maybe a shell casing that was fired in Gary to track the movement of these weapons. We can watch and see. I mean, I'm looking at the Shot Spotter report here, and we can be very proactive now in looking at what we're going to do in the next month. I ran a report from January 2nd through January 19th, and I can see 6 locations or 6 times in our city, basically in the same block, basically around the same time, where someone's firing a weapon. That could be a precursor to maybe a homicide waiting to happen. Maybe he's just missing. So we need to put our officers out there now in that block at that time of day and try and catch this guy before he hits someone. So it's a great system. It's not cheap, but it's a great system, and we look forward to expanding its use and application.
For those people that I guess that would just blow the minds of those individuals who are opposed to the E911, saying that they don't think that technologically a phone call from East Chicago could go to Lake County, then be put back to an East Chicago squad car for a 911 situation. This call's going all the way to California, coming back within 60 seconds and getting into police cars. So I think that may speak a little bit about the technology that's out there when it comes to emergency response.
Well, we do that every day now. I mean, people dial 911 on their cell phone, and they may be trying to get to East Chicago, but that cell tower doesn't know that. So oftentimes that 911 call could get routed to Hammond or to Lake County or to wherever, and within seconds it's sent back to East Chicago. So that happens every day, and I think once the consolidation hits, there's only one place it can go now. It can't go to these different venues. It actually will expedite the response.
Do we know when that's supposed to take place? Is there a day that is there going to be a transitional period where all of the different communities keep their emergency their units and their studios going until it's all one?
Well, it would not surprise me if that doesn't happen. Herbie Cruz, who is our EMA director in East Chicago, heads up the 911 board commission, if you will, and I speak to him oftentimes as to the status of that. He and the members on that board are working very hard. I think by law they're mandated to have that up by December of this year. If you've kept up in the news, you can see all the different various delays they've had with trying to achieve that success. So I think if they get in December, great. If not, if it's a little bit after that, but yeah, I think there may be some transition where maybe some of these dispatch centers stay where they're at for a bit. But I don't know that for a fact. Hopefully they'll be ready to go.
And if those individuals, if that commission gets 17 different towns and communities do one thing, I am nominating them for Nobel Peace Prize in this upcoming rounds of things to happen. But I say that in jest because I have quite a bit of background in that. And I think that once we show that we can do that, I think you're going to see less and less about what's on the paper and op-eds about working together, and you're going to see more communities sharing resources to take care of things. Let's take a phone call. You can call the city if you want to talk to Chief Becker at 845-1100 and ask some police questions of what's going on. He's just a wealth of information, 25 plus years as an FBI individual. Were most of those years here in the Chicagoland area?
Yeah, I started in Wisconsin, jumped to New York City, then or Kentucky, then New York City. I came here about 1987, so wasn't born in the region, but I've been here a long time.
Okay, there we go. Let's go to Joe. Good morning, Joe. You're live in the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I recently read the article in the Homeland Security newspaper that there were grants that permitted communities to apply for and get the system that you're talking about. So what percentage of the expense that you were talking about has already been paid for by the federal government with this program? And what's the burden that East Chicago may have? And I have one other thing after that.
You're speaking of the ShotSpotter system?
Yes, sir.
We have not received any matching funds for that system as of yet. We are in the attempting to obtain federal funding, grant funding, whatever, as we always are, for a system of this magnitude. It's not cheap. It does cost some money. But at some point, I sat down with the mayor and I said, we can wait for funding, or we can do what we need to do to try and get a handle on the gunfire, and that's put up the money and let's put this system in place, and then hopefully the grant money comes in and helps us. So that's what we did. I think it was the right choice, and I think it's already starting to pay some good dividends for us.
All right, thanks a lot. Let's go take one more call, and then what we'll do is we'll take a short break, and then when we come back from there, we'll go to Latonya Hicks, who is with the Multimedia and Public Relations Department, and we want to make sure that all the good citizens of East Chicago and the residents of Lake County know all the announcements that are going on and things that are happening in the city of East Chicago. Dave from Munster, you're live with Chief Becker.
Hey, great show. I just wanted to give you some kudos. I was at the Munster crime thing, and the guy talking about gangs said a lot of good compliments about East Chicago.
Good.
About how you're pushing the gangs out of there. I was very impressed. I went to Bishop Knoll, so I knew a lot of the cops in East Chicago, and you guys are doing a great job, and congratulations. Take care.
Well, I appreciate that comment, and I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the officers in this department. Last year, we totaled 3,700 traffic stops. We wanted to increase police presence. I asked them to do that. We went from 3,700 traffic stops to 10,600 traffic stops. That's roughly 29 a day in East Chicago. Mindful, we didn't ask the officers to write tickets. We just said pull people over, because usually people who are bad people, criminals, so forth, they're usually not good drivers. So if they're going to come to East Chicago to break the law, we're going to try and stop them before they get there.
They're not the sharpest tools in the shed, are they?
No, they're not, thankfully.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll take some more phone calls here. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to have Latonya Hicks with the Multimedia Department, and she's going to let everyone know the upcoming events that are happening in the city of East Chicago. It's always much nicer to go over those events when we have good news like what has been presented here today. And as you've heard, it's a new day in the city of East Chicago if you want to commit crime. 10,000 stops a year, there's a good chance that you are going to be pulled over before you commit that crime. And I can only say, as a kid that was born and spent a lot of time in East Chicago, thank the Lord for that.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll have announcements, and then we will continue to go to the phone lines until about 9:05, and then the good boys with Veterans Views, award-winning program here every Friday, will be taking over the reins. Take a short break. When we come back, it'll be more City of East Chicago on WJOB 1230 AM.
Center Lounge in Whiting is celebrating halfway to Pierogi Fest. On Saturday, January 25th, Center Lounge will be featuring a Polish menu along with their regular menu from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. This menu includes pierogi, stuffed cabbage, cabbage and noodles, Polish sausage, and more. Live music featuring the band Acoustically Speaking will begin at 9 p.m. On Sunday, January 26th, a Polish buffet will be available from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Center Lounge is located at 1312 119th Street in downtown Whiting. For more information, call 659-4080. Don't miss Halfway to Pierogi Fest at Center Lounge on January 25th and 26th.
Welcome back, everyone. You may have to grab a chair in your office and dance around with a little bit of good music here this morning. It is a good day in Northwest Indiana. High of 27. I said that correct. It's going to be 20 degrees today. Hey, all seriousness aside, it's going to be very difficult this weekend. Anywhere from 2 to 6 inches of snow based on where you're at. Lake effect snow could happen at any time over the weekend. Make sure you keep both hands on the wheel. Take your time. Give yourself additional time to get to where you need to be. As we saw yesterday, the tragedy that happened in I-94, we don't want to read about any more of that. So take your time. Allow those plows to do their business. And if you don't need to go somewhere sometimes, push it off till next week. Limit where you need to go. Turn up the heat. Listen to WJOB. Read a book. Do all those good things that we do here in Northwest Indiana. We are with, this is a paid program by the City of East Chicago. We have with us Chief Becker. We will get back to him momentarily and your phone calls. We have with us Latonya Hicks, who is in the multimedia department, and she is going to go over the upcoming announcements for things that are going on in East Chicago. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Step all the way up to that microphone and just think of this. All your fellow residents want to hear from you as to what's going on, so let those people know what's going on, upcoming events, in the City of East Chicago.
Okay, thank you. The City of East Chicago is a city of hope and progress. You can visit the city's website at www.eastchicago.com. Mayor Anthony Copeland main goal is investing in the future of East Chicago. You can contact the mayor's office at 219-391-8200. The East Chicago Building Department is offering 2014 rental property registration, which began on January 7th. Visit the building department located at 4444 Railroad Avenue Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Registration forms and requirements are available at the building department office or on the website at www.eastchicago.com. Department building, department downloads, and the 2014 link is also available at the website. Property owners are required to provide, in addition to the completed registration form, the following process: the registration and their rental property. A late fee shall be assessed in the amount of $100 in addition to the $10 registration fee for each dwelling or rental unit registered by April 15, 2014. Failure to register any and all real property utilized as rental housing shall constitute a violation of this chapter, and the owner shall be subject to a fine not to exceed $2,500 per unit. For additional information, please contact the East Chicago Building Department at 219-391-8294. Make your business shine. Your Indiana Harbor commercial business may be eligible for 80%, 20% business owner facade improvement grant. Revitalization can include improvements such as painting, windows, tuck pointing, outdoor lighting, signage, awnings, and landscaping. The commercial facade program is designed to strengthen and enhance our downtown harbor project by encouraging investments that visually enhance and stimulate economic development within our commercial corridors. For more information, contact Nelson Vargas, Economic Development at 219-391-8205. Tech Tuesdays are being offered at the East Chicago Public Library. The East Chicago Public Library, in collaboration with the School City of East Chicago, will offer a series of free workshops covering a wide range of computer and technology topics. The topics include Facebook, Twitter, Blogger, PowerPoint, Excel, and much more. The workshops will be held at the main library, 2401 East Columbus Drive, and the libraries at the East Chicago Library on the second Tuesday of the month from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. as follows. January 28th will be the digital citizenship. February 11th will be social media and privacy. March 11th will be digital office tools. And April 8th will be top 10 tech skills you should know. The workshops will be presented by Mr. Dadizio, Apple Systems Administrator for the School City of East Chicago. The free workshops are open to all East Chicago residents. Registration is not required. For more information, please call the Public Relations Department at 219-397-2453, extension 11 or extension 33. The Board of Commissions of East Chicago Fire Department Civil Service Commission hereby gives public notice that they will meet in regular sessions on the second Monday of every month, beginning January 13, 2014 to December 8, 2014. The meetings will be held at 4 p.m. in the training room of the East Chicago Fire Department Central Station, number 1, 3901 Indianapolis Boulevard, East Chicago, Indiana. 2014 meeting dates are January 13th, February 10th, March 10th, April 14th, May 12th, June 9th, July 14th, August 11th, September 8th, October 13th, November 10th, December 8th.
A lot of things going on in the city of East Chicago. That's always good. It's always good to have a lot of things. And at any point, if someone needs to get any of that information, there is a website.
Yes.
Do you want to give that website again?
The website is www.eastchicago.com.
And City Hall always has a lot of information as well. Go on out and get involved. That's my view. Go ahead.
Sorry. Also, you can visit our Facebook page at ECTV Indiana.
Alrighty, thank you very much. That was Latonya Hicks with Multimedia East Chicago. We have with us Chief Becker as well. We have someone that's waiting on the line, and that is Dave, is it? Or who's on? There's a compliment for the chef. Are you live on the air?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you got a compliment for the chef?
Yeah, for the sheriff, I meant for the chief.
Yeah.
Marc Becker. My name is Patrick Sabatis. I actually do gang prevention intervention. I've actually met the chief, and I just want to say what a fantastic job the law enforcement is doing in East Chicago and just in the region in general with partnerships to do gang suppression, and definitely it's been working. And then I do on the other end of it, prevention and getting these kids out of these gangs and so forth. And even the system that they've got in place to hear gunshots. I'm a resident of East Chicago, and I know the response time is real quick and taking care of that stuff and decreasing the crime in the community.
Thank you very much, obviously, for the compliment. And Chief, it continues to positive vibes I'm hearing from other communities. And I wasn't able to go to the Crime Watch meeting in Munster. My daughter had a game the other night at the same time. But I was real encouraged to see, because we talked about the agenda prior to the meeting. And 5 years ago, I wouldn't believe that there would have been an agenda item about gang awareness. Mm-hmm. And I'm encouraged living where I live because I was one of those individuals who believed that there was already somewhat of a gang presence there. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that you have to do is acknowledge that something's going on and then work collaboratively to, eradicate the problem. So I want to just also echo that as a Munster resident.
Well, I appreciate it, and you're right. I mean, I think the one thing that we have to do as a community is recognize that we have a problem and then collectively come together to deal with it. I live in Porter County, and I know there's a attitude out there that this is a Lake County problem, and it's not. I mean, those gangs started traveling past County Line Road in the Apple Orchard a long time ago. Back when I was with the FBI, I retired in 2008. We had gang cases in Gary and so forth, and we would follow these individuals at the end of the day back to Porter County where they lived. And so they were basically commuting if you will. The people had elevated themselves above the gang level and were more of the distributors of illegal drugs would actually just commute down 30 and come into Lake County and do their business. And like you and I would go home at night, they jump in on the freeway and come home.
They're not the sharpest tools, but they're smart enough to realize that they'd rather live in a community that didn't have a gang unit.
That's
right. I mean, let's just call it the way that it was. I mean, that's the reality of it. That's why I'm so excited about this stop initiative.
Exactly.
And so I just want to echo what a lot of people have said. Any last comments as we come to the end of the program that you want to let the listening audience know and the citizens of East Chicago?
I would just hope that your listeners understand that we can't be everywhere all the time. I mean, that's an old cliche, but people oftentimes will complain. It's great to have a compliment come in, but people will complain that we're not doing enough. Well, you know what? If you call us, we will do our best to respond to it. That's what we need to do. Critical input from the community. We have a anonymous tip line at 398 COPS, which is equates to 398-2677. We don't care who you are, what your identity is. We're not interested in that, but we are interested in your information. So I would invite anyone who has an issue or complaint or concern to please call us and let us know, and I assure you we will address it.
I appreciate that. Right on the mark, 9:05. I want to thank both Latonya Hicks with Multimedia in East Chicago. Again, can you give us that website to keep all those residents of East Chicago in tune with upcoming events?
The website is www.eastchicago.com, and please log on to our Facebook page, ECTV Indiana.
And it's a great day when police chief can come in and lower the crime rates by 6%, and I know the type of individual you are by listening to you over a number of months here, and I guess the goal for next year would be let's lower it another 6%.
And especially attack our homicides. They were up this year. We got to get a handle on those.
Alrighty, so you heard it here. If you're going to commit crime in the city of East Chicago, you're going to be pulled over. The pullover rate went from 3,700 to over 10,000. So things are moving in the right direction. We always want to thank the good people from East Chicago to come on in, and it was a paid program, as was the mayor of Hammond earlier with the city of East Chicago. You listen here on WJOB. We have the mayor of Gary on. We have Bernie Zeman from Highland. We have the people from Munster that come in time to time, twice a month. We have the sheriff of Lake County that comes in, and you're beginning to get what I feel is a good viewpoint of the collaboration that's going to happen between fire, police departments, gang teams, different groups, and I think that that's what's going to have to continue to happen for good things to happen. So I want to thank you for your time as always, and things are getting old here, and I can only tell you in March, if you come, we will be down the street at Purdue's building, and everything will be new, and WJOB is extremely happy, and they've already officially announced it, that it is a multi-million-dollar deal between Purdue Cal and Vasquez Development Corp. All things will be new, and it will be in the 7100 block of Indianapolis Boulevard. And you can drive by, and I guess that means that all of us on the radio are going to have to start wearing some nicer clothes because you will be able to look right through some big windows and see us do these live programs. You'll be able to watch as we do it. So we want to thank you for listening and all those calls. We're going to continue to move on. And right after a break, the good guys from Veterans Views, which is an award-winning program here. If you have an individual in your family that is looking to know where to go for benefits, this would be the program to listen to. They take phone calls. They set you in the right direction. And there's some guys with a lot of experience. So I want to thank Jim for allowing me to fill in for 3 days. Jim will be back on Monday. I want to again tell you it's going to be very cold. Take your time, okay? It's very serious out there, as we saw yesterday. They are talking for additional snow coming through. The temperatures will be getting a little bit above freezing at one point with maybe a little bit of sun, high of 27. There will be some melting, and then at night again it will freeze. Okay? Very serious. 2 hands on the road. Take your time. Give additional time to where you're going, and limit the travel if you need to until we can get back to regular conditions. If it's WJO, I want to thank them. I'm Dave Kuziak. If it's WJOB, every once in a while I'm on. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And we will be back in just a minute. You're listening to WJOB, 1230 AM.